Hi everyone! Today I'm talking to you about my Sultai deck, which I find really cool because I've never worked with the delve mechanic before. Even when Khans of Tarkir came out, I was a little bit iffy about a lot of the Khans stuff, so I just added like a few Khans cards that I really liked into decks that I already had, instead of making, a Sultai deck or a Mardu deck or, so on and so forth. But then when Fate Reforged came out, I really started really liking the mechanics that were used in Khans as well as Fate Reforged. So I decided on Delve, and then I decided, well, I've got 3 cards, one from Khans and 2 from Fate Reforged, that are Sultai cards specifically. So we've got Cheru Leech Lord, and I don't know if you can see this very well, so I will just explain what it is. It's a 6-drop, 3 colorless mana, 1 swamp, 1 forest, and 1 island. It's a 4/4 zombie creature, and at the beginning of my upkeep, I may pay 3, 2 colorless and 1 swamp. If you do return a target creature card at random from your graveyard to the battlefield, it gains flying, trample, and haste. Exile that card at the beginning of your next end step. If it would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. So this card, I was like, I think I might like it when the other sets come out, and I was right. Now that I've got a few other big cards to go with it, such as Tessigir the Golden Fang, he's awesome. He's like one of the best cards that I could have hoped to have gotten in my openings of my Fat Pack. So he's a 6-drop, 5 colorless, and 1 black, but his mechanic is Delve, and so I can exile a card from my graveyard and it pays for 1 of the colorless mana that it costs. And so it's a fantastic card. And then if you pay, so his other ability is, well, first off, he's a 4/5 creature. He's a human shaman legendary. So you can pay 2 colorless and 1 green and 1 blue, or 1 green. It's like a green-blue thing, so you can see that right there. I'm not really sure how to explain that, but I know what it means. So if you pay that, you put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, and then you return a non-land card of an opponent's choice from your graveyard to your hand. So basically, the really great thing about this card, and I think we spoke about it during the Fat Pack opening, which my camera actually deleted some of, so I'll just explain it. He is very cool because you delve, so you exile all of the cards that you don't want from your graveyard, and then when you put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, hopefully they're good cards too, and then your opponent has like really no bad cards for you to give you out of that, and so it ends up being really great. So I think that's awesome. And then Archfiend of Depravity. 3 colorless mana and 2 swamps to put out, and he is a 5/4 demon creature with flying. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player chooses up to 2 creatures he or she controls, then sacrifices the rest. So this is really great when you're playing with other Khans Fate Reforged decks. So I have been playing with a friend that has a Sultai deck as well, and this can be really good because they generally have more than 2 creatures out at once. I'm trying to think, the deck that I also play with recently is a red, black, and white, which I can't remember the name of at this moment, but it brings out a lot of token creatures, and so if somebody was playing Archfiend of Depravity against me, that would go very sorely for me, using that kind of deck. So that's a great card to have. So Sultai Emissary, I received 2 of in the Fat Pack, and what's great about him is that he only costs 2 to put out, and he's a 1/1 zombie warrior, but then when he dies, you get to manifest the top card of your library. So that's like 2 creatures for 2 mana. It ultimately ends up being a really great trump card, and so the thing with manifest is that you put the card on the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature, but you can turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature. And if you know, if you're later in the game and you don't need any more mana, and like you happen to manifest a mana, that can be really great because you don't want a mana and it ends up being a 2/2 creature. So I really like that. I have a lot of double lands in here. So I have Thornwood Falls, you know, it's just a common, but you gain a life. And then I've got Jungle Hollow, common, but you gain a life. So that can be really great. And then scavenging through all of my mana to find the cards that I actually like a lot. Sultai Scavenger, speaking of scavenging, so it's a 3/3 bird warrior, and he costs 6 to put out, but he has Delve. And so this is just a really great card with Delve, because then ultimately if you have 5 cards in your graveyard, you can exile those, and then you only have to pay 1 black mana for a 3/3 flying creature. You know, it's a great common card for this. Treasure Cruise, which I have 3 of in this deck. You know, I was told by my friend, who's a huge Magic nerd, that this is no longer allowed to be played in tournaments. So I might want to take this out of my deck soon, but it's been really great because, you know, it's an 8-drop sorcery, but it's got Delve, and it's draw 3 cards. So that's always, you know, drawing cards is always really great, I think. Yeah, I have another Treasure Cruise, another Sultai Scavenger, so I've got 2 Sultai Scavengers. I have 2 Sultai Rune Marks that are from the new Fate Reforged set. They cost 3 to put out. It's an enchantment aura, so you enchant a creature and it gets +2/+2, and the enchanted creature has Death Touch as long as you control a green or blue permanent. So this is a great card. It's a great common card. Cranial Archive, I have 3 of, and I was just talking to you about how I've been playing this Sultai deck against another Sultai deck, and so what's really great about Cranial Archive is that, you know, it costs 2 to put out, and then it costs 2, you pay 2 and you exile it, and target player shuffles his or her graveyard into his or her library, and then I get to draw a card. So if you're trying to find a way to screw another Sultai over, this is the way to do it. You know, sometimes that person counters it, you know, but not always, and so it's a pretty good card. And then we've got Sultai Skullkeeper. I think I have 2 of these in here. It's a good common card. So with Sultai, the reason why it's good is because it costs 2 to put out. It's a 2/1 Naga Shaman, and when Sultai Skullkeeper enters the battlefield, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. So I think that can be really great. Just because then you can play your Delve cards faster than your mana goes out. So then Dead Drop is a really great card from the Khans set. It's, you know, they're uncommons, and they cost 10 to put out, so that's like, you think like automatically, oh, that's a sucky card, but then you read that it has Delve, so it can be really great. And then target player sacrifices 2 creatures. That's what this does. So, you know, if you want a way to get your opponent mad at you, and for them to have to sacrifice a bunch of creatures so that you can attack them easier, it's great. Scout the Borders. This is a good common card. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it is. I have 2 of them in this deck because it works. So it's a 3-drop, 2 colorless and 1 forest, and it's a sorcery. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or land card from among them into your hand and put the rest in your graveyard. So that's really great. Ruthless Instincts. It costs 3 to put out, and you know, I haven't actually gotten a chance to play with this because I only have 1 in this deck, and it just hasn't come out when I've been playing. Also, you should know I've been playing for basically 24 hours straight in the last few days, like with all of these decks that I recently made, because it's just really fun. So it's an instant, and you get to choose one. So target non-attacking creature gains Reach and Death Touch until end of turn, and it untaps. Or target attacking creature gets +2/+2 and gains Trample until end of turn. So this is a great card, but I've never gotten a chance to play with it yet, so I think it's a good card now, but maybe it's a really crappy card. Who knows? Now, Shambling Attendants. It's a 3/5 creature, 3/5 zombie, and it costs 8 to put out, but it has Delve and Death Touch. So it seems like, I don't know whether it's actually worth it or not. I'll also only have 1 of them, and haven't gotten a chance to see whether it actually works in the deck or not, but I feel like it would. become immense. This is a fantastic card. So this is from my Khans. It's an uncommon, and it costs 6 to put out. It's an instant, and it has Delve. Target creature gets +6/+6 until end of turn. So you can put this baby out on your attacking creature if you're, if it's like a 1/1 creature, and your opponent chooses to take it, and you're like, bam, here's this, so then they take 7. It's great. Typhoid Rats. It's a 1 black mana to put out, and it's a 1/1 Death Touch rat. So when I opened this, I was kind of frustrated about it, because, it's just a reprint, and I've got plenty of Typhoid Rats, but then when I was playing with just Khans of Tarkir and Fate Reforged, I realized how good it was that I had this, because it is a great, easy chump common card to put out, that kills anything of any size. So that's great. Tegum Scheming, I have 2 of in this deck. I probably would have 4 if I could, but I've only gotten 2 out of my Khans that I've opened up. So it costs 2 to put out. It's a sorcery, and you look at the top 5 cards of your library, put any number of them into your graveyard, and the rest back on the top of your library in any order. So this is also a really great card with Delve. It matches up really nicely with Delve. Meringue River Prowler. I really want more of these. I only have 2 right now, but it costs 3 to put out, and it's a human rogue 2/1. It can't block, but it also can't be blocked. And then you can also cast him from your graveyard as long as you control a black or green permanent. So that's really great because, somebody makes you discard a card into your graveyard and you didn't want to get rid of it, but then you're like, oh, I can play it from the graveyard. This is great. So then Death Frenzy. It costs 5 to put out, 3 colorless, 1 black, and 1 green. It's a sorcery, and all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, you gain a life. So this has worked really well in a few different games. I only have 1, but with the luck of the draw, it's come out for 2 or 3 different games. So then next, Murderous Cut. It costs 5 to put out, 4 colorless, and 1 black. It's an instant, and it also has the mechanic of Delve, so it doesn't really have to be 5 to put out, and it destroys target creature. It's a great card, but I only have 1 of them, so it hasn't come out when I've been playing yet. Debilitating Injury. Debilitating Injury. I've got 3 of them in this deck, and it kills a lot of chump blockers, and it's great because sometimes you really need that. So it's an enchantment aura, and you can enchant your opponent's creatures, and enchanted creature gets -2/-2. It's as simple as that. It's a very simple common, but it works. And that's why I have it in there. Fascination. It's X colorless mana and 2 islands. It's a sorcery. You choose 1. Each player draws X cards, or each player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So what's happened with this is that I have used this even though I thought it was going to be a terrible card. So I was playing another person with Sultai, and I was playing with Sultai, and I played this card, but I also had Cranial Archive in my hand, so I played this card, made them discard a bunch of cards, then I put Cranial Archive out, and then I exiled Cranial Archive to make them exile all of their stuff from their graveyard. It was perfect, and it pissed them off, and it was great. So then we've got Ruthless Ripper. I think that's how you say it. It's a 1/1 human assassin with Death Touch and Morph. So you reveal a black card in your hand, and then when it's turned face up, an opponent loses 2 life. Great. Great uncommon. Sibsig Host. This is a 5 to put out. It's a 2/6 zombie, and it does not have Delve. So it's kind of a crappy card in my opinion, but I have it in here because it's worked for me the last few times I've used it. I would prefer to put something else in this place though. I just, I need to open some more packs and find some more good stuff from the Fate Reforged. So when Sibsig Host enters the battlefield, each player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. And that's the reason why it's worked for me in this deck. But again, I would choose something that costs less mana to put out or that has Delve. So this is really a placeholder right now for something that may come along that's better. So that is my story of why I put this deck together. and why I think it works so well. So stay tuned, and I have a few other decks from the Khans of Tarkir Fate Reforged sets that I will talk to you about rather soon. Alright, hit subscribe and thumbs up this video. Thank you so much. Bye!